So we know that conformity exists. We know that some situations or some scenarios make a person more likely to conform. Let's talk now about why people conform. Now, there are two possibilities for why we conform: normative influence, to be accepted and to avoid rejection, and information influence, to obtain important information. Let's talk about each of these individually. Normative influence. In the lab and in everyday life, groups often reject people who deviate consistently. Oftentimes, you can see this play out in everyday life where people who are too different are oftentimes rejected. They're seen as an other. And social rejection is painful. When we deviate from group norms, we often pay an emotional price. Sometimes the high price of deviation compels people to support what they do not believe in, or at least to suppress their disagreement. When we experience or even fear rejection, we're more likely to follow along. Normative influence leads to compliance, especially for people who have recently seen other people ridiculed or who are seeking to climb a status ladder. They're worried about the impact of their statements or their behavior on other people and how it may impact their status. Normative influence often sways us without us even being aware of it. For example, administrators at a Northern Illinois college, they were actually able to impact the prevalence of binge drinking, not by telling students about the negative impact of drinking, but by telling them that most students actually drink moderately. So going along for the sake of going along so that we're not excluded is one important reason for why we conform. The second one is the informational influence. And this actually leads people to privately accept other people's influence. When reality is ambiguous, when we're not sure about what the truth is, we oftentimes look to other people for as a source of information. For example, this may be why people use TripAdvisor or other review sites, because we're not entirely sure, so we want to know what other people think. Our friends have extra influences, in part by influencing not only the experiences that inform our attitudes. In addition, they influence the source of information, but they also influence what we're exposed to. However, in one study, conformity to other people's opinions actually only lasted about 3 days. Now, fMRIs suggest that conformity may actually genuinely shape our perceptions. People may conform because they're afraid of being wrong. And in one study, when participants conformed to a wrong answer, the brain regions dedicated to perception actually became active. When they went against the group, the brain regions associated with emotion became active. So the concern for social image produces normative influence. The desire to be correct produces information influence. In everyday life, both often occur together.